Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here. And in today's video, I'm doing a tag. So the theme of today's tag video is fragrances that make you happy. I was tagged over by T Smell Good. Go check his channel out. I'll link him in the comment section below. Before we get into the list, I just wanted to make a few statements on happiness. The theme is fragrances that make you happy, but I just wanted to stress the concept of not allowing happiness to be dependent on external factors or events, to be something that you generate from inside. And in some sense, I've always viewed happiness as like a virtue or an act of courage. The world is very much a depressing place in some sense. Like, if you really take a look at it, there's death and tribulation and suffering going on all over the place. But despite that fact, being happy or choosing to be happy is something that you can do and kind of be the change you want to see in the world, as I think Gandhi said. So not that these fragrances are what makes me happy, but they definitely put a smile on my face. So I'm gonna have three categories here, four categories actually. One is chocolatey fragrances. Chocolate is just kind of, I think it releases serotonin when you eat it. It's kind of like, in Harry Potter, it's the cure for getting attacked by a Dementor, if you're familiar with that series. So chocolate is going to be a theme here. Barbershop fragrances are another theme. They kind of, for me, they just remind me of a time before the internet, and it's just a little bit of a nostalgic type of feeling for me. The internet's great and all, but the world before it took over was just a simpler time, and so like smelling barbershop fragrances just puts me into that state of mind and is reminiscent of the world at that time. And then scent memories. I've got two fragrances on the list that are tied to scent, happy times in my life through scent memory. And then finally, there are two others that are just kind of magical in some sense. Just their composition, it strikes me as being somewhat magical or fantastical, like kind of like a Disney movie or something of that nature, and just kind of puts me also in a frame of mind of nostalgia for childhood in some sense. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the list now. Starting off with the chocolate fragrances. Number 10, I guess you could say. These aren't in any particular order, but Roberto Cavalli Him. I've gone over this fragrance a few times on the channel. It is a nice little hidden gem cheapie. Not the most complex or impressive fragrance per se. I use it for layering. It adds a nice powdery cacao kind of scent profile. Stand alone, I just reach for it and wear it by itself when I'm just kind of hanging out around the house, and it's just something nice, sweet, chocolatey to kind of cozy up to. A lot of musk in here as well, so it's got a pretty decent amount of projection. A little bit alcoholic off the top, but it is sub $20 usually when you can find this one. Definitely worth checking out. I found out about this fragrance from Sam Broom's channel, so you should go check him out as well. The next one on the list here is another powdery cacao fragrance that is LInstant Degrlan. This is the Eau de Toilette, the newer formulations. This also used to be a cheapie. I think I picked this one up for like $38 off of FragranceNet. I think they're going for around like $70 now. I think ever since Guerlain changed the bottles, there's kind of like a supply and demand on the fact that it's somewhat of a new product per se. Hopefully we'll see those prices drop again, but with inflation and the way that prices are going on everything, I don't know if we'll see that. But beautiful kind of powdery cacao fragrance. It also has like a little bit of a sawmill vibe, like a sawdust, like a dry wood, and then some beautiful citruses on the top that also add a little bit to that kind of happy, bright feeling that you get off of this one. Another one of those, like in the chocolate theme here for me, is LInstant Degrlan, a fragrance that puts a smile on my face. Okay, next one in the chocolate category. I think this is the last one here. Like I said, this is not in any order because this is my favorite fragrance of all time. And that's partially why this one is on the list, because I just love it so much. In terms of pleasurable smells, this is top tier for me, and that is Dior Homme Parfum. Also has a little bit of that chocolatey cacao vibe going on. Beautiful leather, and then an awesome iris. Woody, just so amazing. Really glad that I have this one in my collection. Just the fact that I have this and it's hard to find also is a source of gratitude for me. You know, definitely worth trying to hunt this one down. I think it is an absolute masterpiece. But you know, Dior Homme Intense also could have made this spot for the same reasons. But Dior Homme Parfum, definitely a fragrance that makes me happy. Okay, the barbershop category. These are, I've actually worn a couple of these fragrances on my weekly rotation this week. One of those is this here, Mousse Illuminée, which translates to the illuminated moss. Really nice, bright green fragrance. It's not quite a barbershop per se, but it's more of like a green aromatic fougere. Heavy on the oak moss, which it does use real oak moss as well. They are in defiance of the IFRA regulations, but it's just nice, bright green fragrance, and it does have a little bit of that kind of creamy shaving foam vibe going on underneath of the more rugged elements that are in here. Definitely worth checking this one out. I think it is an incredible niche fragrance. I think you can get samples of this on Lucky Scent, so definitely look into this one. It puts a smile on my face for sure. Another in the barbershop category is one of my other top fragrances of all time, and that is Tom Ford Bowdo Jour. One of the best lavenders I've gotten my nose on. Very creamy, done to perfection. Definitely has that old school barbershop vibe. Definitely puts me back into a nostalgic time, like I was saying, of before the internet took over. Just a classic, classy fragrance. I think this is perfect for you know, a gentleman. I love just kind of sniffing the bottle on this one because it does put me in such a good mood. And lavender is another fragrance note that has like a euphoric, relaxing effect on the nervous system. So people use it, lavender essential oil, to help them go to sleep at night. Could be why the barbershop category made it onto this list, but Tom Ford's Bowdo Jour definitely deserved a spot. This was another fragrance I wore this week, and this and another fragrance from the same perfumer are going to be on this list. So this is Penhaligons Sartorial. Another reason why I'm putting this in this list is because this is another source of gratitude for me. I did get this directly from Penhaligons. They were doing a sale, and I bought this bottle for $95 from them. No shipping, just 95 bucks. This is actually going for 170 full retail now, and it's hard to find this at discounters for anywhere less than that. So really grateful I was able to get this for a really good price. But incredible barbershop fragrance. Another beautiful lavender accord, and then there's some nice warmth coming in here from a beeswax accord, and then a little bit of like a steam vibe. Sartorial is kind of like, I think, a word that is it points to like a tailor. So this kind of is meant to be reminiscent of a tailor's workshop. So, you know, like steaming clothes, you definitely get a little bit of that warmth and steam vibe going on over the top of a lavender barbershop. Incredible fragrance. I absolutely adore this one. Really glad to have this one in here, and definitely one that brings me a smile to my face. And then I think that sums us up for the barbershop category. The scent memory category, I have Acqua di Gio Profumo. So this is the fragrance that I wore to my wedding. My collection was a lot smaller back then. I probably would have worn something different, but this is one of few fragrances in my collection that my wife actually enjoys on me. So I wore this one to our wedding, so it brings back scent memories from that day, and it's definitely one of the most happy days of my life, and something that brings me a lot of gratitude in my day-to-day existence as is. So Acqua di Gio Profumo, don't need to go much into this one. Really beautiful blue style, aquatic, freshy Acqua di Gio flanker, a little bit of incense, Alberto Maria's. Great fragrance, I think, is at least a must-try for every man. A little bit basic, but it's you know, a class act nonetheless. And then the other scent memory fragrance on this list is one that I wore a lot during my honeymoon, and that is Givenchy Gentleman Cologne. I think unfortunately discontinued, but you can still find this for around the same price that the other Givenchys are going for, like in the $70 range on eBay. But nonetheless, I was wearing this one. It's a little bit bittersweet because we went on my honeymoon. We kind of like double dipped because my grandmother had passed away and she lived in Arizona. So we went out there for the funeral, and then went after that to go visit the Grand Canyon. We stayed in this really romantic hotel called the Lantern Light Inn in Sedona, and then went up to the Grand Canyon. And I was wearing this one a lot when I was out there in Arizona. Just a beautiful kind of, there is that iris in here that gives it a little bit of a powdery feel to it, and then it's more of like a white iris. It reminds me a little bit of the women's fragrance, iris fragrance from Prada. I've sampled, I don't know the exact name of it, but there's a little bit of that iris kind of vibe going on in here, and then like a beautiful green element going on, kind of like Eau Sauvage, but a little bit more modernized, and then some classy citruses. Definitely just reminds me of those days up at the Grand Canyon and staying at the Lantern Light Inn. Incredible stuff. Definitely looking forward to wearing this one more this spring and summer. And then the last two on the list, I have Serge Lutens Sur Guy. This is one of the ones that is in the enchanting or magical category. This kind of just reminds me of my childhood, because I grew up, you know, before things in my hometown started to develop a little bit more. There was a lot of cornfield all around me and like farmland, and there's like a hay note in here that really just kind of brings me back to my youth. And then like the way that it's composed, it just has like such a nice melancholy, and it's so beautiful and like enchanting. I think it's just a good word for this one. It reminds me also a little bit of like a Tim Burton film. Is kind of like the imagery that comes to mind. Yeah, just incredible stuff. Definitely worth getting your nose on. I think, you know, despite being a niche brand, this is going 100 mLs for like $120 on discounters. So you're really paying not much more for a Serge Lutens than you are for some of these other designer brands. Definitely worth getting your hands on in your collection. That's Serge Lutens Sur Guy. And then the last on the list in my scent of the day is the same perfumer who did Penhaligons Sartorial, and that is Enchanted Forest from the Vagabond Prince. I believe the Vagabond Prince is owned by the people who started Fragrantica. It's kind of like an indie niche house. This fragrance, unfortunately, is the only one of their 4 offerings that is unavailable right now, and I don't know if they're going to restock, but really grateful to have this one in my collection as well. A source of gratitude for me, beyond just the scent profile, but definitely gives you that kind of you know, Middle Earth, or I think Jeremy Fragrance compared this to the vibe he got from playing World of Warcraft in like the Night Elf hometown area. So it definitely invokes that kind of Enchanted Forest imagery, which is why this kind of like brings happiness to me in some sense, because it does put me in a type of fantastical frame of mind that harkens back to like Disney movies and childhood and playing video games and Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. It also has like a really nice black currant that reminds me of this Hubba Bubba strawberry watermelon bubblegum that I used to chew when I was a kid. So this is the last one in my list of happy fragrances for me, Enchanted Forest. And since this is a tag video, I would first like to recommend you all go check out A Little Slice of Happy by Raffi. I'm going to tag him and link his description in that video in the comment section below. It's on a review of the fragrance Happy by Clinique, I believe. I don't own that fragrance, but I think that would have been an apt and fitting fragrance for this theme. Same with Jubilation by Amouage. I actually do own that fragrance, but it's a newer formulation, and it kind of makes me a little bit sad knowing that I missed out on the better version of it that had Jubilation written on the neck. So I didn't include it in this list for that reason. But so I'm going to tag Raffi and link his video on Happy in the comment section below, or the description, and then I'm also going to tag Sarah at Glam Finds, and finally I'm going to tag Nate at Paragon Fragrances. So I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.